Well, the House of Lords committee dealing with select committees decided it would be a good idea to have an ad hoc select committee looking at adoption. And we were asked, therefore, to provide a post-legislative scrutiny of the existing adoption law and make recommendations. This has been running parallel with the government's proposed or existing bill for families and children, which is currently before the House of Commons at the committee stage. We came to the conclusion that the existing law was more or less adequate, although it needed a bit of tweaking, which the government has certainly done in its proposed clauses, but that an important aspect of the existing law was the procedure and the process, and we came to the conclusion that that needed a great deal of attention, and that was probably, if anything, more important than making any changes to the law. Well, the sort of children who are now being adopted, many of them who are not babies, have had a very traumatic early upbringing. The sort of early upbringing that takes with it some real serious, possibly physical, but certainly mental scars. And those children, once they are adopted, it isn't just a rosy way ahead for them. They need help, and particularly their parents need help, because it may be a honeymoon period, but after a bit the children may then find that they may then display some really quite considerable problems, and the parents may not know how to cope with it. And what the parents need is access to counselling for themselves and for the children, probably therapeutic services. They need access to CAMS, you know, the Children and Adolescent Mental Health facility, and they need better help in education, and they just need generally to be looked after, because there's a serious danger that some adoptions will break down. And we know at the moment the figures are something like 1 in 5. We very much supported the government's approach to improving adoption and hope that they will be successful in more children becoming adopted. But we were concerned that they should not take their eye off the fact there's something over 60,000 children who are in care, and most of those will probably require a permanent alternative home. Now, permanency for those children is just as important as adoption for the minority. And what we're looking at is foster care, kinship care, and special guardianship. And those are all very important ways in which children can get permanent good homes. Well, may I start by saying we thought that since we were giving advice in our recommendations about children, that we ought to ask children themselves what they thought about it. So we met a number of children who've been adopted and a number of children who were in care. I think the most important thing we learned from children is they're not listened to. They are the absolute subject of everything that's being done, and what they feel about it, even if they don't get what they want, is a terribly important part. And that was perhaps the most important. Also, we learned that they were being bullied at school because they were adopted. And one child said most effectively, he thought, a young child, he thought that teachers and children ought to be taught about adoption and about other routes to permanence like foster care. They were very instructive, the children, and it was a great pleasure to have met them. Well, the bill is at the moment going through the House of Commons. It will come to us in the House of Lords in June, and it will have, in the usual way, lots of amendments. I shall probably put some down. But the bill is a good bill in principle, and in principle the committee is very happy with the government proposals, but we do stress that there are other aspects which are very, very important.